Happy International Women's Day. I hope you're having a great day. I recently reread the highlights of the McKinsey 2024 Women in the Workplace report, which was the 10th anniversary edition of that report. And it really got me to thinking about the remarkable gains that have been made in terms of gender equality in the workplace, but also the work that has still to be done to get to absolute parity in terms of gender equity. It would be great if this was no longer a conversation for all the right reasons in the future. And it really got me to thinking about my own journey, because essentially we're influenced by our own journeys as we move forward in life. And I grew up in a household with a very, very strong-willed mum, and she would have done anything for her kids. She would have fought anyone for her kids, and she was fiercely loyal to her kids and her family at the same time. And also, I grew up with four powerhouse sisters, all older than me. I'm the youngest, I'm the baby, and it really gave me that opportunity to grow up and just be in the presence of women who knew what they wanted, who were willing to fight for it, and who pursued their dreams, goals, and desires. So that was my paradigm as I grew up. I just assumed every female got the opportunity to be able to do that. And then throughout my career, the vast majority of leaders that I have learned from, have grown with in my career, have been women in the workplace. So I appreciate that that's probably quite unusual depending on what type and style of industry that you are in. But I'm also very blessed to have had that experience growing up. So then when I hear about gender inequality within the workplace or within the world at large, in the beginning, quite honestly, I didn't take it that seriously because that was not my experience. I was thinking, that's just nonsense. I can't believe that. Then I get presented with the actual hard facts and data and start to realize, wait a second, this is actually a real thing. So it was great to have that enlightened moment to get myself to a spot of greater understanding about the inequality that we do endure in the workplace. So, on this International Women's Day, I'd like to try and reflect on what it is we're going to do about the information that we have in order to be able to make some informed choices as we go forward. If we start to get to the heart of the biases that are so obviously still there in industry these days, figure out who's winning essentially. Anytime there's ever a circumstance or situation or a disaster or something, someone is always benefiting from that. So who's benefiting from there being an inequality in the workplace? I think the obvious answer would be the men, but there has to be something deeper than that as we move forward. And if we can start to figure that part out, we can start to then go on a campaign of further research, education, and then, moving or creating change in the world, because we've got a lot of work to do. I was recently at an Axis event just towards the tail end of 2024, and I was shocked, literally shocked, to learn that in my lifetime, and I'm kind of old, but not that old, in my lifetimes, women were not allowed to have a credit card of their own. They were not allowed to have a bank account in their own name. And this is just mind blowing for me. Again, my paradigm being strong women are everywhere. My mum grew up with a number of sisters as well, and they were all the same. They were all go-getters, and they just went after what they wanted. So my paradigm was certainly in and around that. So where does inequality still exist? Certainly there's a pay gap. There are a lack of women in key leadership positions in organizations. Workplace discrimination, harassment still happens. There are the proverbial glass ceilings that are preventing women from ascending in organizations. And of course, the stereotypes that exist within the workplace just now. And when you think about how men are measured and how women are measured and viewed and judged, quite frankly, in the workplace, it starts to become a bit scary for me, quite honestly, it does. So the theme for this year for International Women's Day is accelerate action. So I'm going to ask another question. What are you doing to accelerate action in terms of gender equality in the workplace? Who doesn't, male or female, who doesn't want or need allyship in the workplace? Someone standing shoulder to shoulder with you, someone championing you when you're not in the room, and someone just being your biggest fan and biggest supporter. Everyone needs that. Everyone benefits from that throughout their career, throughout their life. So my commitment is to continue to raise the game. I'm going to be continuing to look out for dynamic female guests for my podcast. The majority of my client base are female, and I hope that continues in terms of my coaching practice. And I'm going to look for every single opportunity to genuinely raise the stakes and raise awareness and do something proactive to ensure that everyone has a voice, focusing more on women. So I'm going to ask, are you willing to join me? Are you willing to break down some barriers that are there in the world and make sure that we are living the most equitable life that we possibly can, where everyone has an opportunity to do the very best they can in the moment? Because listen, what do you want to be known as? What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known as someone who kept people down, who held people back, who willingly and knowingly was inequitable when you had opportunities to be able to lift the women workforce up and you decided not to take it? You just shaved a bit off of that job offer in terms of salary or benefits, or you chose a male candidate over a female candidate for potentially subconscious reasons that you don't know. There has to be intention in what we're doing here. Everyone has power and influence and the ability to affect meaningful change. Everyone. So what are you going to do with that? So join me in celebrating the women in your life. Appreciate them, thank them, tell them how much influence they have had on your life. Join me. Let's do something special here, folks. Have a great Saturday.